Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Hairouna Film Festival Comedy Shorts Q&A panel. My name is Tolga Akcayli. I'm a Vincentian filmmaker. I also have a film running in the film festival called Two Licorice. We are going to jump straight in to the questions to the 7 filmmakers that submitted their films, the short films that were submitted, and I must say I laughed at each one. A lot of them had fantastic stories, and we are going to basically go through each film and get to know the filmmakers as we chit-chat a little bit. My name is Tolga Akcayli. I'm a Vincentian. I'm also a filmmaker. I made the film that's coming on later this evening, Two Licorice, which is also a comedy feature. So first, I would like to start in the order I watched the films. The first film I watched was So Now What We Do. Is the filmmaker here for that? Okay.
Yes, that's me.
Nirvania. Hi, Nirvania. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You're in Puerto Rico?
Yes, I am. Can you hear the cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that here too in St. Vincent. How's
Oh.
everything going on there?
It's going very well. Yeah. Quarantining.
Okay, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say a little remark. The reveal that the rehearsal that the father was doing for the daughter, that was really touching because I have a 2-year-old daughter myself, and that really touched my heart personally. I wanted to know what made you decide to do that story?
I think it is basically what you just explained. It's a really simple, condensed story about a father trying to connect with his child. And that's something that we can all relate to on different levels, even if we're not parents right now as children. It's something we can look at and see and be like, yes, I totally understand that. And then within that context, there's the whole urban setting of how do I get to this point, especially in Puerto Rico, where public transportation and city planning is so awry. So it sets up a lot of roadblocks when we're trying to connect with others. So that's really what attracted me to it. It's a very nice, condensed story with big heart.
Okay, very nice, very sweet. Yeah, I like you said, it was quite a short story, condensed, but it was also very effective. Could you tell me how long it took you to shoot that?
I think that took about 3 days. We were on a very tight schedule, so everything was like 3 days, 8 hours. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Yeah.
Okay. Was it part of a competition, or what drove you to create the film?
So I had made a film called The Hygienic Odyssey of Lollipoo, which was about the importance of washing your hands, and I'd won a contest, and that had given us the funds to be able to make a second short film. So, but I was studying at London at the time, so the time was running out. There was a big deadline. So we had to pick something that had a great story, but that also fit the time constraints. So that's how that came to be.
Okay. And I see that the Puerto Rican Film Commission was involved. I saw their logo in the film. How did they help you guys, or what was their contribution to the film?
So they were the ones that awarded me the grant that basically funded the entire film.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm very grateful for their help.
Okay. And I noticed that you were shooting a lot in public spaces. Did the Film Commission help you with that?
So a lot of that was guerrilla style. We did have to take out some permissions because it was with the Film Commission. So, but certainly on the bus, for example, that was we got to get on the bus. We're going to do it at this hour, strategically plan this route where no one takes it at 10 a.m. And we're going to get on the bus and we're going to try and do this as fast as possible before anyone else gets inside.
Okay, nice. Okay, well, thank you very much for that. I must say again, it was very heartwarming because of my little daughter that I have. I would like to go on to, I think, the cartoon, Big Dan was next. that correct? Is the filmmaker for that here?
Right here.
Oh, hi, Kafi.
Hi,
Miss
how you doing,
Zeen.
Tolga?
I'm good. How are you? So you're in Trinidad?
I am in Trinidad.
Okay, and how is things going there with the lockdown and so on?
Good, man. I can't complain. I think it's a wonderful place to be stuck. I think if we are in the Caribbean, we got lucky to be, there's much worse places to be stuck, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. Not to be politically incorrect, but I cannot contain myself whenever I see these parties happening in Trinidad where hundreds of people storm out of one little building. Those are quite funny to see. Yeah. Yeah, let's not go into the whole Corona thing. But I want to talk about your short film. What I really enjoyed about it is it was completely authentic cartoon style. The animation, the style, the emotions that Big Dan himself had when he was hiding behind his wife or girlfriend, it was one-to-one on an international scale level, and I'm very impressed with that. The story was hilarious. It was a very simple story, but I'm thinking, wow, I didn't understand who the filmmaker was, but now that I know it's you, I'm thinking to myself, wow, she really put in a lot of effort into the emotional reactions, the facial expressions, the subtle movements behind this person, and how your team thought of the different places that he can hide or jump and all of a sudden pop out of. The kung fu scene between the cockroach and Big Dan. I thought that was all fantastically done. And it reminded me, the animation style reminded me of Cartoon Network show Total Drama Island.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you, yeah, right. But I must say it belongs on the Caribbean, the Cartoon Network TV channel needs to have a Latin America and Caribbean version where this short that you did should be a series, like Dexter's Laboratory kind of thing.
Let's make it happen.
I would love to see that on television,
I'm for it. I'm for it.
So enough me talking about how wonderful your film is. Are you an animator? What made you decide to go into cartoon?
I'm not an animator. I am a scriptwriter, director, producer.
Okay, great.
I've been a lover of art all of my life. And when I had this idea to make this short, I wanted to make it a cartoon because at the time, the network that I was building the idea with included a cousin of mine who wanted to be an animator. And so he's a really good artist. And at the time, he was just about to enter into his undergrad program. And I knew that he wanted to go into animation. I wanted a chance to work with him. And I thought this would be a really good story to animate. Also, I had just had a baby. And animation is a style of filmmaking that you can do more easily remotely. And so I was able to be a mother and to take care of my child who was quite young at the time and not have it be an obstacle to moving forward with the development and the production of the film. So those two reasons made animation a really sweet fit for the film. And so once the film was in its development, my cousin, who was the original partner, amongst the original partners that sort of were helping me develop the idea, he went off to undergrad, and I knew that he wasn't going to be available to build out the film as much as he would have liked to be. So I sent out a call to Trinidad and Tobago universities. And one of the universities that I targeted was the University of Trinidad and Tobago, which has UTT. It has the best animation program on the island.
Wow,
so I sent a call out to students thinking, I can't afford to hire a professional animator, so I'm going to hire a student. One of their alums, Shane Young Singh, who's the co-director that's listed on the project.
Right.
One of their alums, Shane Young Singh, responded to my call, my student call, and he was like, I'm not a student, but I want to do this project because I've been looking for a scripted project to do that's like story-based, and I'm a phenomenal, he didn't big himself up, but he is a phenomenal animator. He was totally humble about it, but he's a phenomenal animator. And so he came on board. And all of the principles that you saw translated in terms of the animation style, that was all Shane, because he's a classically trained animator who loves traditional animation. And so his role on this project was really to take the emotional beats that I prescribed to him as the director and to translate that into the animation style. So while I was working with the voice actors and working on them delivering the emotional voice and giving him guidelines about the shot size, what characters were doing in the scene, he was the one who then took that direction and translated it into how do we move these characters around in the animation style that we need to make the delivery come forward. So he was a key part of the process. And so I definitely can't take credit for the traditional animation style because he was the person who breathed life into that aspect of the film under my direction.
Okay, very nice. Can you remind me how long it was, the short?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. And how long does it take to produce an animation like that? Because all the others were live action.
Yeah.
I'm a filmmaker myself, so I kind of can gauge and have an understanding on how long it takes. How long does it take to produce a 4-minute animation?
Okay, so consecutively, it takes about one animator 10 seconds a week.
Wow.
Right?
Jesus.
So that's if you're working consecutively, then you can do the math, right?
Of course, yeah.
We didn't do it consecutively because we had to raise the budget to do this in 2 rounds. So we raised the first round of the money to make the first half of the film back in 2017. And it wasn't until 2018 that we raised the second half. And so really from 2000, I started developing the project in 2015. And by 2019, we had a finished animated film. So it was a 4-year process for us.
Wow.
Like I mentioned, it wasn't consecutive. And then, so we had 3 animators on board, Shane being the key lead animator and the animation director. And we also worked with 2 other animators who were support animators and did what's called in-betweening, where they take the keyframes that Shane presented them with, and then they do the in-between movements. So it's like you have a character that starts here and then goes there in a keyframe, and then all of the movement that happens in between, the in-betweeners helped fill that in. And so each of them was able to deliver on average about 10 seconds a week. And in the first phase, we worked for about 3 months consecutively. In the second phase, we were finishing up this short, but we were also finishing up 5 other shorts at the same time using the same characters. So it was, I think, about a 6-month stint to do all 6, you know? So yeah, it was just under a year, including all of the development stuff that had to go into the project before we even began animating. Okay,
very nice. So 10 seconds per week, but in reality, a minute a year.
Yes, exactly, a minute a year.
Okay, and my last question for you is, what are you going to be doing with this in the near future? Or does it have a future?
Well, the intention was to have it be a pilot for a series. As you know, we're in a region where it can be hard to get funding and raise financing in our field, right? And animation is a very expensive endeavor. So while I was developing the short and the accompanying shorts, I was also doing a lot of market research about how best to, monetize animated content in a sustainable way. And I found that at least from a Trinidadian perspective, if you're making original Caribbean intellectual property, TV licenses the TV stations that we've been in contact with don't have enough funding to be able to afford licensing scripted content at a rate that would make your return on investment worth it.
Yeah.
So because of that, I've switched gears to feature films. And so Big Mandan has been a test bed for me to work with a virtual animation team, because everybody was remotely based when we worked on the project. Everybody was virtual. Nobody was in the same studio space. So it's been a test bed for me to work with the animation team, see how the process goes, understand the 2D process, get my directing and producing feet wet in terms of understanding how do I work with this medium, what are the rules, how does the process work, and how much does it cost, all of those kind of things that you need to do as a producer and a director. How do you write for it? It's been a really good research project, and to also see how audiences receive it. And so I've been able to take that research and use it as momentum to start a feature film project, which based on my research is more likely to be able to recoup the investment, the financial investment that's going to be necessary for making a high quality animated film.
Yeah. So
that said,
with my, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. That said,
No.
If we had a Caribbean TV cartoon network and the licenses, you know, something changed in terms of the dynamics that we've been researching, and we were able to fund it, a series of shorts, of course, we would be more than willing to build out this this franchise, because I think it's one that I love and that I would love to give legs, but it isn't my direct focus right now.
Right. Well, there is a company that has video on demand platform with Flow.
Yes.
That incorporates both Latin Americas and the Caribbean. I know the name off the top of my head, but of course my head is completely clouded at the moment. But with Two Licorice as a feature film, most of the funds came in through the cinema, right?
Right.
And then when we got the film on Amazon Prime, I wasted a lot of money advertising it in the Caribbean because one, unfortunately, the Caribbean doesn't have the same amount of credit cards per capita person.
Credit card penetration is a problem
compared to the US and the UK.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like an injustice / colonist mentality, because they make the bar for qualifications for a credit card extremely high, and they believe that the Caribbean populace is a huge risk and wouldn't be able to pay back.
Okay.
So those that have credit cards either have an income that's greater than 3,000, well, EC dollars, I don't know how much, 1,100 US.
Yeah.
Or those that have saved up enough, which would be 7,000 EC, which is, give me a second, 2,500 US.
Okay.
And once you have that cash up front, you're able to back a credit card, which is basically allowing you to spend your own money and pay interest on it, which is absolutely unfair compared to how easy it is in America, where you get like your junk mail packed with credit card applications. Anyway, the next option would have been to release your content onto YouTube. However, Google Ads doesn't run the same way. Google Ad Pay doesn't run the same way as it does in the US and the UK and the rest of Europe. We do have ads running on our YouTube. If I watch a YouTube video and I see an ad, the video that I'm watching, if it was a Caribbean produced piece of content, they would not be getting paid because they're not registered in the US or Europe. Anyway, there's lots of boohoos. The Caribbean doesn't have any advantages, but you have to work twice as hard as compared to these other countries that have these, things in place for them to earn revenue, but it's not impossible. So a method that I came up with is to directly contact, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses, for the audience that I'm going to be providing my film for, and make my content available for free, but with interruptions for commercial videos to play. I did that for St. Vincent, for St. Lucia, for Grenada. It's now in Barbados until April 12th. Two Licorice. It's restricted to that country. So all of the ads that are running in Barbados and those that watch the film in Barbados will be experiencing Barbados-based business commercials, while it's the same for St. Vincent, the same for St. Lucia, and the same for Grenada. Someone from any other country wouldn't be able to access the content in Barbados. It's geo-locked. So there's different revenue options available. yes, it sucks that we don't have it as easy as other countries, but it's not impossible.
Absolutely not.
But the biggest income would be TV syndication. If you can get a network that's powerful enough to find advertisers to back your cartoon show, or you do the method I said, which is you find your advertisers directly.
I
But
must
it's a
say
huge
that,
long.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. You go ahead.
But it's a huge formula, because
Yep.
you do have this test piece, this short film. The story is a full circle. You can approach, well, the pandemic kind of sucks, but you can approach different businesses if we open up and say, look, I have interesting content that's very engaging, and I believe that it will get great amount of views and give your business huge exposure. And you just see if you can get anybody to help you produce the film by pre-booking ad space.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
there's different formulas.
Idea. That's a fantastic model. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good model.
Of course, and there's many more. There's many more that you can try to figure out.
I know a lot of filmmakers that that use that model. So thank you for that. And I must say, I'm a big fan of Two Licorice. I embedded the Vimeo on demand link on my the website that I founded, storyplay.tv. I don't know if you remember Storyplay TV reaching out to you and asking you to put Two Licorice up there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So
on Instagram, right?
I'm really excited to see it again on during this festival. Nice. And I just wanted to thank you for letting us share it on Storyplay.tv.
Of course, yeah. Of course, not a problem. Okay, well, thank you very much for all your answers to these questions.
Welcome. You're very welcome.
And it was very insightful.
Yes. Thank you for all of the guidance and the tips about how to monetize content.
Of course, we have to support each other, because right now it's a bunch of people who have so many stories to tell. A lot of people don't understand that the Caribbean is basically the cradle to the industrial revolution. They
tell
don't
them.
Tell them. Yeah, but everyone just takes advantage of the Caribbean and thinks that we're just their coconut and rum sipping destination under the huts that we all live in.
After today.
Anyway. Okay, so Mama's story. Which Barbadian colleague produced Mama's story?
Guilty.
Mr. How do you pronounce your last name? Iweze or?
Iweze, yes.
Iweze. So, Chukwuemeka.
Very close. Chukwuemeka.
Chukwuemeka.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to decide what should I call you.
You can call me Chuku. Everybody calls me. You can butcher
Chuku,
part of my first Chuku. Yeah.
Okay, Chuku. I lived in Barbados for 12 years. And I've always heard drum belly mama. I've butchered that so many times, and for the first time in watching your short film, I was finally able to hear its original, authentic, full, is it a song? What would you call it? A parable?
Like a folk song.
What did you call it? A folk song, right? Okay. So your origin story of this folk song, is that your creative design, or is that true?
No, it's actually, well, the writer was actually Michelle Hingston Cox. She came up with the story, but I don't think I don't think that's the actual origins of the story.
So it was her creative idea.
Yeah, so it's given the humorous twist to it, basically.
Nice. And I'm able to recognize a lot of Barbadian culture and attitude from those women. Oh my God. Malicious women.
Language. You can't mistake the body language. Yeah.
Yeah. And the face speaks 1,000 words. Every moment of attitude and the way they look at the girl and the things that the way they speak and what they choose to say. Anyway, what made you decide to make this film? Do you know the writer personally, or?
No, I don't know the writer personally. Well, all credit has to go to the producer, actually, because she's the one that's sent me a script. We just happened to, because she had seen my thesis film, and she said, we have to work on something. Then we happened to bump into each other at an event, I believe. And she said, oh, she has an interesting script. Would I be interested in, in shooting it? I said, sure, send it to me. And I read it, and I just thought it was just like, as you said, you can't mistake it. It's a very Bajan, Bajan story and Bajan dialogue, just Bajan feel to it. You can't mistake it. So that's what basically drew me into it and interested in shooting it. And usually, a lot of these stories, they try to make appeal to a larger market, to the foreign market, the outside world, but this is our thing.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? That's the main appeal they brought.
100%. Yeah. Okay, very nice. And so where are you going? What are you going to be using this short film for? You're illustrating the culture, a very famous folk song, or are you going to use this to, what are you going to be using the film for?
Well, honestly, I don't really, we have to discuss with the producer, see what idea she has. She's the one that suggested we have to put it in the film festivals. But for now, I think that, we just put it in more film festivals, and hopefully we can build on it, maybe eventually a feature-length film, I don't know. But
nice.
But now we just see how it goes.
Yeah, okay, very good. And how long did it take you to shoot it?
Originally, it was supposed to be 1 day, but we kind of underestimated how long it would take. It ended up taking let's say 2.5 days. No, more like 2.5 nights. Because we usually shoot from like 5 p.m. into around 10 o'clock. So I'll say like 2.5 nights, so to speak.
Okay, nice. Carmellia is the producer from Mamas you were talking about just now, right?
Yes, Carmellia Alleyene, yeah.
I think she just joined us. Gave me some messages. Carmellia, you want to say hi?
Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good evening. We're good. How are you?
I can't complain a lot.
Okay.
Just a little. Just a little bit.
Okay. So Chukwu, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was just asking him where were you guys thinking about carrying the film and what's its future? Do you have anything to say on what's the plan behind the film?
Well, the plan behind the film was really to give the children some exposure outside of their own neat circles, and to allow them to recognize that there's more to life than your community. So it's really an endeavor in building self-esteem first and foremost.
Right.
And then anything else that happens after that is just wonderful.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, when the adults in the film were talking about that there's more to just a folk song, the actors and the script collectively together both thoroughly push that narrative. There is a lot to folk songs. It's not just a wonderful thing that seems funny, because when you think of Drum Belly Mama, is that how it goes, right? Drum Belly Mama?
Yes.
You're thinking of a big belly Bajan woman. It's an authentic, fully Bajan folk song, right?
Correct.
Right. So
I've never heard it.
Yeah, no. I only heard it in Barbados too when I was there for a few years. I would immediately imagine a big belly Barbadian woman. But that's really it. But the way the writer brought in pregnancy and how cassava swell up the belly, cassava being the pregnancy, I was blown away. Like, wow, I would never have thought that, because when I first heard it, I was a child, and the writer did a fantastic job. So I was asking Chukwu if that was the partly or actually the origin of the story, but he said that it's a lot of the writer's creative input.
Yes, correct. Yes,
right.
Correct.
So maybe it's similar to how the story originated, but I must commend her. She did a fantastic job coming up with this story. It's to the unexperienced eye, it may come across as a very simple short film, but to those who run festivals and those who are artistic will recognize that it's beyond what it simply seems, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
It has a lot of depth to it. It has a lot of depth to the story. Okay. Do either of you have anything else that you'd like to share about the short?
I would just like to say thank you for screening the film.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's for Aiko and her wonderful team. The next film was the 48-hour film. I recognize Vonley. I saw him in the film. I think he played the editor in the film. Is that correct, Vonley?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Saying shout out to HFF. Shout out to everybody. Big love. Yeah, man. I was the editor on the 48-hour film Murphy's Law, and filmmaker and cinematographer. Sorry.
Okay, so you actually edited the short yourself, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying you shot it also?
Yeah. Well, some
okay,
parts.
Cool. Because it felt like it was the story was so well done that it felt like the guy in the film who was acting as the filmmaker / actor.
Yeah.
It seemed like his project. So it was quite well done. The story was quite well done.
Thank you.
So that was a 48-hour challenge for the Barbados Visual Media Festival. What was the right? Okay, very cool. And what were the other films like in the competition?
Well, honestly, I think it was our film and another film that was the only comedic one. I think.
Okay.
Everyone else kind of went like this really dark route. I don't know. I don't really know why really, probably because of the elements that you had to use to create the film. But it was very dark. A lot of people were like, it told a lot of really strong, depressing stories. But
right,
given these these things, man, we just tried them. We just did something that's just different.
Yeah, I guess it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I guess it's subjective to the filmmaker who understands. Okay, a razor, cobblestone. Woohoo! Let me make this dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess it's to the perspective of each filmmaker. But you did a fantastic job. It was very funny. I just love Barbadian comedy. Barbadian comedy is superb. You can say anything. It's funny.
Yeah.
And again, I was telling Chukwu, the facial expressions Bajans make, my God, it can kill you dead with laughter for sure.
Yeah, man. I actually look forward to seeing True Licorice. I didn't get a chance to see it. I've only saw like the trailers and everything, but as you said,
okay,
Bajan comedy is different, like the
it hits different for real.
Facial expression, and with this film, we really try to just play on that, just really kind of just bring that out.
Right. So you made the 48 hours then, right? You didn't have any TPs going overboard, or why are you laughing? You went over or what?
Because you know Murphy's Law, right? You know about Murphy's Law. Anything will happen, will surely happen, whatever. So the catch about it is that we did make the 48 hours. However, we kind of messed up one of the clues that were given. Because in the film, when the characters had to say, I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow, right?
Yeah,
and
in the beginning, yeah.
The character Dippy, big shout out to Dippy too. Big shout out to Dippy, fantastic. He said, I decided long ago never to walk in no man's shadow. So I guess Murphy, because this whole film we were trying to beat Murphy, not really necessarily beat Murphy, it was a thing, but you know, as a filmmaker yourself, you know that you go on set, you have to solve them because a lot of problem solving and these different kind of things just randomly come up. So oh man, you know, so we nailed everything except for that one line, and we only realized it after we submitted it. That was the only thing, because the real work about this film was making sure that to basically beat Murphy, if that made any sense, we wanted to make sure we had everything, because when I don't know if you ever did a 48-hour film, like a lot of things happen in between there. Sometimes you have, I mean, Shuku could attest to this. I think Shuku did a 48 hours film before as well. So yeah, man, we nailed that one line. I think is what really cost us. So I guess Murphy won at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, the title was very appropriate. I must say the story kind of threw me back to when I was producing Two Licorice.
Right.
In watching your film entirely, my chest was hurting from the anxiety, because I felt every moment that the actor and filmmaker character in your film that he was experiencing. I'm like, oh my God, this is like PTSD for me. But I was able to manage and finish the whole thing. But my God, it was quite true to the real experience of making a film, not just 48 hours, you know, and even if you have 30 days to produce it, the anxiety that they were experiencing was real, and it kind of projected onto me. So you reached me.
This film was really a filmmaker's film, I believe. Like, you know, when we were sitting down looking at the story, we were like, you know what about what if we document us making this film and really film our life experience of it? And as I said, you know, like, you could be shooting a film for 30 days, however long, you know, people in game whatever, shooting things for like however much years, whatever, you know, and you'll be faced with constant situation after situation. And this film for me was just that path of just exploring story and really just, you know, just telling a filmmaker's story, you know, what we kind of have to go through. And yeah.
I agree. It was, I must say, it was very tasteful of Hairouna Film Festival to put your film and Zeen together, because they were both filmmaker stories, you know.
I really like that film, man. That film,
it was very well done.
When we get there, man, I gotta talk to that guy. Sure.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Vonley. I hope you much more success in your future endeavors with filmmaking, and that goes to everyone else. Calyx, is that how you pronounce your first name?
Yeah, Calyx. Calyx is
Calyx. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and let me see your. Let me try to butcher your last name.
Yeah, it's Passailaigue.
Passailaigue.
Yeah.
Passailaigue. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So tell me, Calyx. Sorry, I was going to call you Passailaigue. The story was fantastic.
Thank you.
And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this. I kind of related a little, not directly, but I had a lot of I felt a lot of what the character in Zeen, what's his name? The character's name?
Chad,
the superficial white Jamaican filmmaker. Chad, I kind of felt like I was Chad at some moments, because I'm half Vincentian, half Turkish. Yet at the same time, I was born in England, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I was 12 years old, I was traveling from Turkey to St. Vincent via England, London, Gatwick, and the immigration officer asked me if I was running away from home, because I was a minor. I was 12 years old, and I said no. What kind of stupid question is that? I didn't understand how immigrations work. I thought they're supposed to take your passport, stamp you, and you move on. I didn't know the whole border security and protection. That's what immigration officers were for. But anyway, so he's saying, why are you running? Why are you traveling by yourself? Are you running away from home? Why are you going to St. Vincent? Oh, I said I have a Vincentian passport. I'm not staying here. He asked me, are you going to come and live here? Are you running away? Are you trying to get a job? I'm like, what? No. And I told him, I find England too cold. And we were having a argumentative dialogue. And then I said at the end, which was a mistake apparently, why does it matter? I'm born in England anyway. And he got red, angry. No, it matters. It absolutely does not matter. Sorry, if you were born, you're not British. Blah blah blah, and goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. So all my life, I kind of had like a disconnection between. Yes, I was born in England, but I'm not really welcome there. I'm half Turkish, but my language skills in the Turkish language is of a 6-year-old, because that's when I left. Right. And I'm fully Vincentian. My only nationality that I have on paper is Vincentian. My only passport is Vincentian. But when I go to a bank and they see that I'm Vincentian and they ask me, oh, so where are you born? I'm like, why? What does that matter? He goes, oh, well, you don't look like a Vincentian, which is exactly what Chad is talking about. And when I say, oh, I'm born in England, the banker would go, oh, makes sense, you idiot. You're not Vincentian. You know, so there's a lot of disconnection, and you can't blame anybody. So I felt Chad. But like the Grenadian character was saying, I lived for XYZ amount of years in the Caribbean. You don't know what it's like to have an ambition to leave or live in a third world country, to lose your home or get your home damaged in a hurricane. I have experienced all those things. So there is some, different levels. But anyway, wow, what a monologue.
But absolutely.
So, is any of the story relatively true, or is it just a story you wrote, or a writer developed?
I mean, I think the idea is that you base certain elements on truth, like the old lady who's talking, that is my real grandmother, and that whole story that she gives about why our family left Jamaica is completely true. I basically was just like, that part in particular is basically a documentary,
Right.
And I sort of wanted, I guess, it is a mockumentary. It is, everything is staged, but I wanted, because we could play in that, we could sort of introduce these elements that were actually true and were, in a sense, documentary elements, like the Grenadian character, like you mentioned. The actor whose name is Andon, that was his actual story. That was Andon's actual story, and that was basically, me just looking at him and saying, tell us what your background is, and him just kind of going from that. So I mean, I think there's, and me, I went to film school. I've made other films before, so those elements too, those filmmaking elements, I think are definitely based on truth. So it's that blending, I think, of truth and fiction. But I certainly hope I'm nothing like Chad in a lot of ways. but yeah,
that's very cool. The mockumentary is what you call it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did it take to produce exactly?
So this was actually, I got the money in it was January of 2019. So I sent the application. I sent like a application to do this project, be involved with this, which was a group of commissioned projects. I sent that in October or November, and then of 2018, and then I got the approval that we were doing it in January, and then we premiered in the beginning of September of 2019. So I sort of had that deadline that I had to meet, which was January to September. So basically, we started pre-production in January of 2019, and we worked all the way until we shot it. I think we finished shooting around April or May, and then I took about a month to edit, a month to do sound editing and the post-production stuff. And then we were finished by the end of August, basically. So
okay, nice, very cool,
very quick turnaround. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have a question about the dialogue between the characters. Was any of the story scripted?
Not a lot of it really. The film within the film was scripted. That I wrote, like the part where you see the movie, I guess, where it's Chad's movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That part was scripted, and then
But
more what we did besides that was we really just I came up with sort of plot beats, like just basic sort of story beats, where I was like,
okay,
or even just ideas for kind of comedic setups, like hey, let's all do like a name game where we sit in the circle and, you know, Chad says, tell us about your culture. And we're like, okay, we'll start from that. And then from there, we kind of just build it out into, so not a lot of it was scripted really. I think I had one or two lines maybe that I came up with that it'd be fun if my characters said this. And I kind of, I kind of threw it out to them, but yeah, sorry.
Right. No, so for example, when you were doing the footsie with the lady, the production assistant, or no, production manager, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the production manager, was she actually the production manager?
No.
Or she was she was a character?
Yeah, she was just an actor.
Right. An actor. So when you said let's all get on the floor and connect to the earth all while you're in a building, that's hilarious. And take off our shoes. Was all that within the planned beats, the plot beats, or was that I have an idea, let me just go with it?
That whole particular part was just totally on the fly on the day.
So everyone's reaction saying, what are you doing, man? Where are you going with this? What natural responses?
Yeah.
Wow, that must be so much fun to do.
Oh, it was so much fun. That day in particular was so much fun. We had so much footage to work through, because it was just like, it was tons of stuff like that with.
Yeah, I can imagine, because if you're saying it was the way it was, I'm sure you were constantly collecting footage over and over and over.
Yeah.
And the selection process must have been a difficult part too.
Oh, the editing was probably the hardest part of the whole thing.
Right. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
Especially because it's improv and it's all unscripted. You know what I mean? It's
exactly,
all so you're like you're trying to figure. You have to mold it. You know what I mean? And figure out a structure with it. But sorry,
it did seem to have of course, it did seem to have a linear direction. It wasn't all over the place.
Yeah. Well, that was really what we strived for with the edit. You know?
Of course, yeah.
It's like,
okay,
because if not, we're like, even if it's funny, that was the thing where you had to be really hard. And you're like, oh, even if this part is funny, we want it to be kind of have some sense of structure and and cohesion. And so I'm glad to hear you say that that you think it was had a sense of cohesion. Yeah.
No, it did for sure. Okay, so do you have any future plans with this short film?
Really, my plan is just to keep submitting to festivals. We've got lots of ones that we're still waiting to hear back from, and we've managed to do a pretty good run on this one so far. Okay. So it's just kind of keeping with that, and then hopefully distributing after that and getting it on some streaming platform or something. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I wish you best of luck, and I hope you get through with the distribution.
Thank you.
Of course. Okay, so now everyone has thoroughly represented their film. All absolutely lovely. Let's collectively kind of join in together and speak about why the 8 of us, not 8, it's actually 7 of us, why the 7 of us chose to do comedy. What made you guys decide on comedy? And if someone has the answer right now, just wave your hand in front of the screen and can go ahead and answer. Okay. You want to play rock paper scissors?
Sure.
Okay. On shoot. Wait. Pause. Wait. Hold on.
Dang it.
Okay. Ready? Synchronize.
Yeah.
Start. Rock, paper, scissors, Shoot.
I played rock, I guess. I don't know.
All right, go ahead.
Shall I go?
Calyx, yeah.
Okay, so, yeah. Well, I just think that I have a really quick answer. I just think that comedy is a super really misunderstood genre sometimes, because I think you can be super, critical. You can be of different institutions, of social structures. I think it's a great way to satirize things, to kind of hold a light and shine a light on things that need to be said, and do it also in a way that's fun and joyful. And and not only can you kind of expose these things, but also you can do it in a way that it gets people to laugh. And that's always my goal with a lot of my work, is just to get people to laugh and to get people to think, and kind of do those at the same time. So that's what I have to say.
Brilliant answer. Chukwu?
Well, I think laughter is the most, it's the most genuine human emotion. I think laughter is one emotion that joins us. It's one of the strongest emotions. One emotions that, how they put it, it's universal. It's like a universal language. And I think in the world that we live in today, we need more laughter. We're already doing enough seriousness.
Pandemic.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we could just, if to get escape for just a few minutes, if that's what we need. I mean, why not?
Yeah. I'm not sure if everyone knows TikTok. I'm sure everyone does. I saw someone talking about comedy and saying, okay, a lot of filmmakers and artists crave attention, and comedy is the least respected genre of filmmaking, which is the unprofessional artistic opinion, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because Aiko had written a beautifully narrative, what makes it a good vehicle for a message. Now, in my opinion, for that question, comedy reaches a broad audience. And those who seek comedy are not junkies that look to laugh all the time, but those that are going through a moment of stress or trauma or difficult times, and they want that little escape that they don't want as alcohol to provide or drugs to provide. Because at the end of the day, all these things are endorphin releases and dopamine releases in the brain, and laughter does that. So the comedians here on this panel are contributing to making the world a happier place. And where she said what makes it a good vehicle for a message is that it reaches a broad audience. Two Licorice being really Barbadian, the type of comedy that was written. It has fantastic reviews from all over the world, and the jokes kind of reach an international level. And at the end of the day, it was a story about a struggling couple in an economic crisis that Barbados was going through. And for example, for Kafi, that is a story that I'm sure everyone has experienced, where a husband is called into the room. It poses challenges for, how do you call it? Feminists who think, oh, well, I'm not going to call my husband. I don't even have a husband, or whatever, It's a true story that many people experience. And the Drum Belly Mama story, you're opening a box and creating a huge creative story for the original folk song, and you're reaching the audience through comedy. But people will say, oh, you have to watch Mama to talk about that famous song, and it's a great, brilliant way the way they wrote it was fantastic. And the reveal on So Now What We Do, it was hilarious, but at the end of the day, it was a father and daughter bonding together. And not many people recognize the importance of a father's role in children in general. It's all about the mother. I'm not trying to discredit women and their powerful involvement in raising children, but fathers' roles aren't as greatly recognized. And in this short story that Nirvania produced, it immediately highlights the importance of a father's role. And the anxiety I felt from Vonley's film, my God, it's a comedy, but boom, he produced a fantastic film within 48 hours. And again, personal experience with Calyx's film, it's comedy, but a lot of people have disattachment to a heritage. And are they entitled to that heritage because they're not really from that country? And it creates a world of chaos because there are some people who are from that country that will disqualify you, and rightfully so, but at the same time, they do belong in their own way. So all of these comedic stories have a powerful message behind them. Anyway, I'm starting to get bored of hearing myself talk. Anyone else has anything to say about comedy?
I'll chime in.
Go ahead.
You know, they say you are what you eat, right? And I definitely watch a lot of adult animation. Seth MacFarlane's stuff is some of my favorite. So I watch a lot of Family Guy. And I think you saw that in Big Man Dan. Like I consume a lot of satirical animation content. And so when I was making my first, my first out of film school, doing it on my own short, I think what naturally came out of me is what I eat. This satirical animation. And as you mentioned, it just ended up being the perfect vehicle. Once combined with Shane's traditional background, it just created this really nice mesh where we were able to talk about, like you said, gender relations and a lot of other steeped issues, but in a way that is not off-putting if you are ready to laugh. And especially if you can laugh at yourself. If you can't laugh at yourself, then nothing will ever be funny, right? But if you can laugh at yourself, then entertainment has always been, as you said, for me, a great vehicle to make an impact. And that's the reason that I'm a filmmaker, because I believe everything that you said, that entertainment is a way to disarm people, bring them into topics and let them experience them in a way that you can actually touch hearts. And so that's definitely why I did a comedy.
Fantastic. I will use the word Calyx said in his description. With the word is superficial. A lot of people think that comedy is easy. It's very hard to tell a joke and get a proper heart, belly felt laughter. But it's not easy at all. You have to nail that joke, and you're doing it in a short space of time while involving the story. And I must say that it's very insensitive and superficial for people to dismiss comedy as a serious genre, because it is a master in order to be successful in comedy, and it requires a lot of intelligence, creativity, and art. So I commend each and every one of you for your films, the stories that you projected and brought to Hairouna Film Festival 2021. And thank you for submitting. And I hope everyone has a fantastic evening. Thank you for being part of this short comedy film question and answer panel.
Thanks.
Feel free to share your personal @, your emails.
I just wanted
in the chat.
To say one thing about the comedy genre, because for me, this is my first time doing comedy as a filmmaker and just really exploring the genre of it and just the storytelling of it. And I do feel like comedy films have its places. It's very, very masterful. It's for beats, everything. And as you guys were saying, it's very good, to kind of spread a global message, and you can reach people further. I do feel like things there's a time and place for everything. And and it's like, for me, this, how should I put it? Comedy, like from Murphy's Law, for just going through and this whole experience of it, I learned that comedy is good to reach, but sometimes the perspective, you just gotta be understanding that sometimes the perspective for comedy could get a little bit too not taken too serious, you know, and especially when you're telling films. But that's what I like. His name Calyx, your film, bro. It was very, very, very interesting, and I would like to talk to you about it after, you know, just really get a good understanding, or even just ask you live now, like what was your biggest takeaway from making a film like that? Just generally.
Making a film, I mean, I honestly, see, what was really positive about this for me was that a lot of these people who I made the film with were my friends before even going into this, but some of them became my friends after this as well, you know, and I've always felt, you know, comfortable because I was, you know, partially raised in it, and raised in it from a different angle of being, you know, white Caribbean versus Black Caribbean, but I was in those spaces, and I've had good friends who are, you know, Caribbean and have a Caribbean background and stuff. So what was cool about it, and what I did take away from it, was just that it was like, you know, how welcoming and how open the community is, and always has been, really, you know. And that was probably the biggest thing for me, was just like, I think I found that, you know, you treat people with just the basic amount of respect, and people pay it forward, and that's always so nice to see. And, you know, and it was just good to make new friends, you know, which was honestly, I think, what the purpose of this sort of the commission that I was part of, the sort of wider project was bring people together from different backgrounds and have that exchange. And so it was just cool to, you know, to be part of that, and you know, make new friends, and also kind of reaffirm and learn more about some of my friends that I didn't know, you know, because it's like, you're not necessarily going to grill somebody about their past, you know what I mean? But it's like, but when you hear that, and, you know, you kind of learn about it in a different context, it's like, oh, that's so cool. So yeah, no, there's a lot I took away from this, actually.
All right, cool, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. I think Aiko is trying to get the next film, which is Two Licorice, started. Let me just confirm. She's saying to keep the convo flowing, because there is some nice convo going on. She's typing. Yeah, I wanted to say, Vonley,
Yeah.
it takes a true artist to recognize the story behind the comedy.
True.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right. I feel I understand, and you see, like, for me, like what I took away from touching that level of truth within this, and even because for me it was just like, I'm showing a perspective that was really, you know, some people will see it as funny, as just like you two bipolar ends of a spectrum of what these characters are going through. But I think, as it pertains for just like comedy itself, especially here in the Caribbean, we have a lot of stories, and it's a lot of times that we kind of laugh a lot to kind of deal with things, and it kind of like, sometimes it deep rooted in the culture, it kind of takes away from people really kind of dealing with it. You understand? So like for me, in my Barbadian experience in watching films, going to the movie theaters, seeing Bajan watching films, it could be any film, like just a random example, like Avengers. Bajans would laugh at certain parts in Adventures, you know, like, or certain parts that you could arguably say the filmmaker, it wasn't supposed to be funny. And I realized just Avengers is a very bad example, forgive me, but it's just
no, I understand what you're saying. I'm not laughing at. I'm laughing at the truth.
It goes into like a deeper psychological thing that I find here as Caribbean people, like we deal with the issues that are most ones that we have to confront. We kind of like shield it with comedy, and like that's great. And you can deal with it. You could see it. You can touch on it without, you know, going too deep. But sometimes we sometimes we need to go deeper, you know, to really uncover and discover, especially here in the Caribbean. We have a plethora of stories. You guys telling stories, you know, this guy telling Jamaican stories, you know, is this like, we in the Caribbean, we're like a cesspool of just like creativity, and as you said earlier too, there is a lot of like, you know, people taking culture, whatever the case may be. But I think comedy here in the Caribbean, it's like, especially in Barbados. I'll just speak actually the Caribbean. We speak about Barbados. Like comedy in Barbados is like a very, people deal with it a lot to cope. And I often ask the question, is that how well is that coping mechanism helping us move forward in its entirety, you know? That's just one of the things that I often think about. But yeah, sorry for my little rant.
No,
You know,
absolutely.
If we're keeping the conversation, I would love to chime in on that, because I think
Go ahead, yeah, okay.
to speak back to, you know, the power of genre, it's really irresponsible for us to put a lot of pressure on any one particular genre or any one particular art piece to fix the entire culture. It's impossible, right? And so everything has its place. And your ability to genuinely laugh and experience laughter and experience the joy of living through art has nothing to do with the fact that we still need spaces where we take things seriously. We still need spaces where we take things and we confront issues directly. But those spaces just aren't comedy. So I don't think that, you know, while I admire the fact that we're being critical about the fact that maybe as a culture we can take things too lightly, and I don't want to diminish that as a valid thought, I also think that we don't need to put pressure on the art form to fix everything.
I don't think it's pressure. I don't feel it's something that the comedy itself could fix, because it does have its place within wherever, you know, it has its place. It has its genre, it has its code. It's just, for me, I don't know, man. Yeah.
Great points, great points. I love the way that your brain is thinking. I'm just providing a counterpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Okay,
So
anyone else has?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
While we
ahead,
keep the
Chukwu.
conversation going, I want to share my love and my admiration for Vonley. Vonley, I have to say, seriously, to watch you grow as a filmmaker. We've known each other for what, like 8-9 years now, and I've seen some of your earlier films. To watch you grow as a filmmaker is just so darn inspiring, man. I just have to let you know that I admire you, and just keep doing what you're doing. I keep looking forward to, you know, to what you're gonna bring out next. So just keep doing what you're doing, okay?
Respect,
nice.
Bro.
Very cool. All right, well, should we call that a wrap, guys? Okay, well, thanks again once more for everyone for submitting your films.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys.
It was so great to meet all of you.
Likewise.
Yes, absolutely.
I gotta follow you guys on internet and everything, man. We gotta, you know what I mean, chop it up for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Vonley, just check the chat.
You're brave enough.
Say what? I didn't catch that one. What?
Check the chat. Check the chat. We all dropped in our
yeah, I think
All right, cool. Yeah, well, I'm gonna add you guys. We will chop it up for sure.
Okay, I'm trying to. Sorry. Before anyone leaves, let me just see what Aiko is trying to say. Oh, okay. So sorry. We have some questions coming in from the audience that's watching. This is for Kafi, and after Kafi answers, I guess, the opinion of others. Who would be backing in the fight against the Ninja Roach? Big Man Dan or Bad Man Dan? DB.
Run the question by me again.
Who would be backing in the fight against the Ninja Roach?
Yeah.
Big Man Dan or Bad Man Dan?
Bad Man. Who would be backing in it? Who would I be backing?
Yeah, I guess.
Who would I back?
Who would you be who would you be backing? Well, I suffer from miss out a word. Who would you be backing in the fight against the Ninja Roach? Big Man Dan or Bad Man
Bad
Dan?
Man Dan. Big Man Dan. Between, if you're referring to Bad Man Dan, who is a character who came up in the other shorts that we did, is that what they're referring to? If they're referring
Maybe
to that,
possible, yeah.
then I would definitely back Big Man Dan, because Big Man Dan, to me, his character, he's an earnest guy who's trying to be good. He just hasn't quite gained the confidence yet to be, whereas Bad Man Dan is straight up not trying to be good. You know what I mean?
Right,
Bad Man
okay,
Dan.
yeah.
Name is Bad Man Dan because he's not trying to be good. So if I had to back somebody, it would definitely be Big Man Dan. He's the hero. He's the one who's
Okay.
aspiring to be the best man he can be. And you have to admire that. You know, you have to admire that. So I'd back Big Man Dan.
Very nice. Okay, and this is for, I hope Shuku's still here. No, not for Shuku, sorry, my bad. This is for Vonley. Did real life experience inform the inspiration of your film? It was so relatable. And I agree with the person who's asking this question.
Well, yes. I did a number of 48-hour challenges over the years. I think this one was my sixth one. And from the first time I did it till the last one, man, this has definitely been something I've been pulling from. You know, it's a little bit obviously exaggerated with, like, you know, the era stuff and everything, and the character that I played was very, like, it was just like a little bit over the top. But yeah, man, it was creating films and coming up with a concept, going out there shooting and rendering and handling and delivering it, that usually adds to the Murphy Law. Usually. So yeah, man.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Vonley, your film, although it's comedy, you masterfully projected the anxiety onto the audience.
Yeah.
And that's what the story is about. So it's a filmmaker's film, just like Calyx is, but I hope you recognize how comedy can push a serious narrative. You know, somebody watching would say, "Oh, yeah, this is a filmmaker who's having a bad day and they're just trying to make it funny." That's not really an educated critique. When I'm watching this movie, I literally felt pain in my chest.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It's a fantastically told story. All right, guys, that's it. I'm being cussed out by Beth and Aiko. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, thanks again, everyone. I hope you take they're laughing at me. I hope you take the opportunity to watch Two Licorice, and always shoot me any questions if you don't get to stay up late to be part of the question and answers panel after. But just shoot me any questions if you have any, if you get a chance to watch it, which is supposed to have happened 16 minutes ago. All right, guys.
Everybody.
Again,
Thanks, everyone.
One love, man. One love.
Thank you. Loved meeting everybody.